was always at night, like a werewolf, that I would take the thing out for an honest run down the coast. The edge. There is no honest way to explain it, because the only people who really know where it is are the ones who have gone over.
He was a reporter with a wild imagination.
He was not afraid to express himself in sometimes shocking ways.
I'm not at all embarrassed at the use of the word free.
Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. It starts off like a rocket. That was mad genius.
Ralph, when he first met Hunter, he'd never done any drugs. He loses it.
Hunter always had to have a running crisis.
Come over, I'm gonna kill somebody!
Hunter saw guns as one of the great things in life.
He liked the noise and the violence and the destruction.
I think he was important in a literary way and also in a political way.
Hunter was in Chicago, right in the midst of the gas and the beatings.
I came up with the idea that he should move to Washington and become a full-time correspondent.
When he showed up at the campaign, no one knew who he was until he started publishing. Then all hell broke loose.
Some people will say that words like scum and rotten are wrong for objective journalism, which is true, but they miss the point.
He described me as a half-crazy Davy Crockett running around the parapets of Nixon's Alamo.
I desperately wanted to put an end to that senseless war. I'm sick and tired of old men dreaming up wars for young men to die in.
Hunter's pieces were a hybrid of very accurate reportage and sometimes flat-out fantasy.
And it ended up on the wire as a straight story.
You finally said, well, you made it all up. I couldn't believe that people really believed that Muskie was eating Ibogaine. I never said he was. I said there was a rumor in Milwaukee that he was, which was true, and I started the rumor in Milwaukee.
I think he captured certain truths about human perversity. I don't think that anybody can be surprised that we find ourselves in the nightmare we're in today because it's the same as the nightmare he described back then.
He could wield a pretty effective sword against what's going on right now.
He had this purity of vision.
Will the real Hunter Thompson please stand up?
So what's gonzo journalism? Gonzo journalism is a style of journalism epitomized perhaps best by the work of Hunter S. Thompson in the 1970s. Unlike conventional journalism, gonzo journalism doesn't even try to be objective or fair or balanced. In fact, it says that objectivity is a myth and that striving for objectivity actually just gets in the way of telling the real story, the true story. So, for example, when Rolling Stone magazine sent Hunter S. Thompson to cover the 1972 presidential election, well, he liked McGovern, but he called Humphrey a hopeless old political hack. So, and did so just outright. That would get an ordinary journalist fired. He also just wrote the unvarnished experience of the campaign trail, day to day, drunkenness and all. You know, I suppose. Maybe a modern example of gonzo journalism would be the recent documentary Super Size Me, where the author and director and star of the film spent a month just eating nothing day in and day out except McDonald's fast food. And then he documented the effects this had on his body and on his mood and temperament and all sorts of things. It's journalism where the journalist inserts himself or herself into the story and becomes part of the story, and the journalist's observations and emotions and feelings and direct personal experiences all become part of the story. That's anathema in traditional day-to-day